Welcome to the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast, the show committed to helping you dismantle the destructive mindset programs keeping you stuck in the proverbial bunker of poor performance so you can get out of your own way and play to your potential. My name is Paul Salter. I'm a high-performance hypnotherapist and mindset coach with 16 years of experience helping thousands of individuals like you get unstuck. This podcast features a collection of solo episodes, conversations with scratch and plus handicap golfers, and master classes with top experts in the performance psychology space. The one goal? To help you make playing to your potential a habit. There may be no bigger, more demanding, make or break experience in the game of golf than Q School. Your entire career, to some, at least in their own perception, their entire livelihood comes down to the 4 days of stage 1 of Q School. And if they're fortunate enough to play to their potential when they need it most, they get to go through multiple subsequent stages where the pressure is cranked up even higher. Fortunately for you, and fortunately for me, back and better than ever, I am excited to share that Scott Fawcett joins us for yet another conversation on the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. And today, Scott, with both personal, professional, playing, coaching experience, is going to deliver a masterclass on all things Q School, truly pulling back the curtain on the mental, emotional, and strategic demands of participating and playing fucking well throughout Q School. So if you're a golfer who's been considering participating in Q School, perhaps you're a golfer who has participated and not yet succeeded in Q School, this episode is for you. But let's be honest, if you have no intentions in participating in Q School, you're still going to find an immense amount of value, wisdom, and takeaway action steps to help you become the best version of you, both on and off the course. And in just a moment, we'll dive right into this epic conversation with Scott. The one note I want to share, you will hear Scott and I talk back and forth about a meditation app without ever mentioning the name of it until like 50 minutes into the conversation. So let me spare your wandering mind. The app that Scott and I continue to refer to is Waking Up by Sam Harris. Can't recommend it enough. It is my go-to meditation app. Scott speaks extensively about it in this episode when I had him on last time. And that's what I've got for you. So without further ado, buckle up and please help me in welcoming Scott to the show. Scott, what's one thing you do regularly to strengthen or work on your mindset?
Meditate.
Tell me more. Why?
You know, it's interesting because whenever I was younger, I tried it and I just wasn't very good at it. Tim Ferriss has a really funny way that he says it. Like, you know, I've tried meditation in the past and I thought I sucked at it. I'd get frustrated, slam a pot of coffee and storm out the front door. And I'm like, that's what I did. And it was because I didn't understand the point. I thought the point was to be able to have no thoughts, just a completely clear mind. And again, Sam Harris, who I, rely on for all of my players and personally and everything, he just has a great way that he explains it's not about having no thoughts. It's just recognizing your ruminating thought patterns before you dwell on them for, and he says, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years. I mean, it really is incredible, the thought loop that we can get trapped in. And especially when it's a negative one, whether that's a negative one about golf or a negative one about some relationship you have, it's really, the idea of like we sit there and play out these little arguments that we've had over and over and over in our head, or planning for one that's coming up. Like you feel like so many things you do is just part of your own personal psychosis and craziness. Yeah. But it's like the amount of times you replay an argument in your head, it's just stunning. And so for me personally, being able to recognize that thought loop before it's gone on for, days or however long, it's, again, I feel so weird. I cannot ever say a quote that's from somebody else without referring. So I feel like I just am constantly referring, but like Sam's just got a great way that he talks about these things. And the one thing that's really different with him in his, it used to be a 50-day introductory course. I need to go back and do the 28-day again because he's changed it to 28.
Yep.
But when it was the 50-day, it was on like day 11 or 12. And, he'll start off, he gives you more and more silence as the days go on. But he always comes in with, okay, we've got a minute left. Here's what I want you to think about and blah, blah, blah. And in day like 11, he's like, now, you're clearly breathing slower, your heart rate's slower, your thought process is slower now than it was in minute 1. And what I want you to do is get up and take this into your day. And I'm like, oh, that's the point. Like, it's so stupid to have not put that together, but I'd be like, okay, meditation's over. Let's go right back to type A obsessive compulsive nonsense. And that's really what triggered it for me. And I don't know how much we talk about mushrooms and stuff like that on the podcast, but
I mean, fair game.
Definitely experimenting with those a couple of times a year over the last 4 years. I hate saying it because not everybody needs to go try those things. There's real potential negative side effects. If you've got any sort of schizophrenia or mental illness or whatever in your family, it can be a big problem. So really do your research before you just jump all in. I have some schizophrenia and depression in my immediate family. And so I don't ever do some heroic dose, but I'll take a couple grams and then bump it every couple hours. Point of all that is it's a cheat code to seeing the point. And I was definitely doing it, and I was in a better place mentally than I ever was. But until I did that for the first time, now I can, Sam's also got a way that he says, I want you to instantly, like, throughout your day, I want you to, in moments of transition, when you're getting into the car, or let's say you're putting on your golf glove, could be your trigger. I want you to instantly arrive in minute 10. Yeah. And it wasn't until like seeing what the real finish line is through those that I was able to really put it together personally. Again, I was better than I ever was once I was consistent with it, which I would say I started being consistent with it in 2014/15, right around the time that I was helping Zalatoris. That's one of the main things. Without really knowing what I was doing at the time, it's really interesting if you piece it all together looking backwards. Tim Ferriss started his podcast in early 2014, and his second guest was Josh Waitzkin, and he's the guy that wrote the Art of Learning book. I mean, it's crazy how lucky this confluence of events, if that's even the right word. I don't even know if it's a word, but all these things stacked at the right time. I was creating Decade through 2013 and 14. Tim Ferriss, who I literally pre-ordered his book back in 2007, The 4-Hour Workweek, that everybody's like, I literally saw that in a men's journal, men's health article, and pre-ordered it right there. And so I was a big fan of his. Then he starts his podcast. Second guest is Josh Waitzkin. They're talking a lot about meditation in it. Tim Ferriss wound up buying the audio rights to his book, The Art of Learning. Again, I highly suggest reading that. And then the fifth episode was this guy named Jason DeSilva, who was hosting some sort of a kind of a freaky TV show. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Tim asked him a question. What are you into right now? And I would think that'd be like knitting or cooking or whatever. And he's like, I can't stop listening to this song Time from the movie Inception. And I was like, that's the strangest answer to that question I've ever heard. And so I obviously went and checked it out on YouTube, and it's just this Hans Zimmer, this low, if you've ever seen the movie Inception, it's that song that plays throughout it. Yep. And so I figured Zalatoris, again, I'm circling back to meditation, don't worry. I figured before the Texas Amateur, I was like, I can't understand. I don't care how bad of a putter this kid is. I don't understand why he doesn't dominate junior golf specifically, and potentially amateur golf. And so I met with him a couple weeks before the Texas Amateur. I explained to him everything we were going to do. And I said, what I want you to do is take 5 minutes to start and end every day. And I just want you to listen to the beat of this song. And again, that never would have happened if it weren't for Jason DeSilva, who I don't even know who it is, on Tim Ferriss's podcast that he just started after meditation talk with Josh Waitzkin. But what I was thinking with it was, I just need to be able to have him be able to check out at some point. And the reason it was just so convenient that it was the song Time was I could just point at my watch. If I saw him freaking out, I could just point at my watch, and that was our cue. I didn't have to say, be like, hey, dude, you're freaking out. It was our cue. I can see you're freaking out right now. I want you to just stop, stand still, and just try to think of that beat and start breathing. I will tell you exactly what to do on this next shot. I don't even want you thinking about it. I just want you sitting there and following your breath. And it was such bad meditation at the time, but I was really just trying to give him like an interruption in the pattern.
Bingo.
Because you can see Will starts getting like a real pursed, like tense look in his face. And so I was just like, oh no, he's freaking out. Dude, take a break. And then we went deeper and deeper with it over the next couple of years. And it's funny because I got him working with Dr. Larden when he was in college. And I didn't talk to him. And again, like at some point I was like, he's handling the psychology portion of this. I just need to be your friend and let you be able to bounce questions off of a mentor now. Like I'm passing you off to the real professional here. So we didn't really talk about meditation for like 2 or 3 years. And finally one day I was like, we haven't discussed this at all. Are you still doing it or what are you doing? And he's like, I am, but it's really turned into this process to start my entire day where he has it's this song, Fading Fog from Headspace, which is another app. And it's similar, just a long beat. And he's like, I have an AirPod in for 3 hours leading into my tea time that I'm just constantly, as the AirPod dies, I'm just going back and forth with that on the whole time. So he had turned it into this 3-hour moving meditation, which is what's crazy about when Will made the turn the year in 2022, when he finished second in the Masters, the announcers at the turn were like, God, this kid, he's not even a member of the tour and he's in second place in the Masters. He just seems so calm. And I'm like, this is literally 8 years of work building. They acted like this was just a mystery. And again, just to put a final bow on it, I do believe that the zone, the air quote zone, is nothing more than a moving meditation that some of us accidentally fall into occasionally. Again, you're the golf hypnotherapist. Like it's just so obvious looking at it in hindsight. I've told this story a million times, but the first golf tournament I ever won was my sophomore year in high school. And my girlfriend of 6 or 8 months that I was totally in love with in the 10th grade way dumped me the weekend before. And so I literally, this is so embarrassing, but I come across super cocky. I also try to be like, I'm just an idiot like everyone else, man. I listened to Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison in my Walkman on a loop the entire round. So I just had it clipped in my bag, headphones on, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, hit a shot, take them off, right back on. And essentially that's just this long, slow song. And I was basically not thinking about golf at all. I was just all sad. And I'm listening to this beat that's really slow. And my internal rhythm was just effectively depressed. But that's better for me than super intense.
Correct. Yeah. And I think it was Joseph Campbell, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was him who said, what is life but an entire meditation? So you say, we're kind of happily falling into it from time to time, intentionally or not. I often say, yeah, I'm a hypnotherapist, but really I'm helping to dehypnotize you from everything society and your environment and upbringing has hypnotized you with. And if we think of Joseph Campbell, talking about the story arc, the character, you're the main character in your story, but you're also the author of your story. And if you can be that present and aware, something meditation helps you do if you do it outside of that 10-minute window, it's like you have all of the cheat codes to life. And that's a powerful fucking feeling.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is unbelievable, the difference personally. And again, don't get me wrong, I still fly off the handle sometimes, but I'm certainly able to dampen it a little bit in real time, but I'm certainly able to be reflective after the fact and be like, wow, I really handled that wrong. And so it's happening less and less in my life where I just discard my brain for 30 minutes. Because I do believe that that's Tiger's superpower. I really, and from talking with Como, Como's one of my best friends, and talking with him back while he was working with Tiger, we talked about meditation and stuff a little bit. But when Tiger, the first question after his car wreck scandal, he's on the back porch at Lake Nona, and ESPN, Tom Rinaldi says, first question, what happened? And Tiger's immediate answer was, I lost perspective and sight of my core Buddhist values. I stopped my meditation practice. Like those were his first two answers. And it's like, there you go. And then Jada Pinkett Smith, the day before Tiger's car wreck in LA, what he was out there in LA doing was playing lessons with celebrities. And he was with Jada Pinkett Smith the day before. And on like the fifth hole, it's great. It's worth watching on YouTube if you just Google Tiger Jada Pinkett Smith. And on like the fifth hole, 10 minutes, 12 minutes in, she's like, you just look so calm out there. It's like almost like you're meditating. He's like, that's exactly what I'm doing. I play golf in a meditative state. She's like, oh, that's so cool, whatever. And then a few holes later, they're at like this drink station, and she says, so what do you like to do outside of golf? And he's like, like to free dive. And she says, oh, okay, well, like how deep do you go? He's like, I don't know, like 70 or 80 feet. And she's like, oh, wow, you're a real free diver. And he's like, yeah. And she's, well, why is that? And he goes, well, it gets back to that meditative process that we're talking about. If you're 80 feet underwater and something goes wrong, you'd better control your heart rate. You better control your breathing. You better control your mind and figure out the problem. And, so what I really thought was cool then is, he's taking a bite because they're at this little food station. And she's like, well, when did you start meditating? And he's got like kind of a half mouth of one. He's like, when I was born. And she was, it's like, you've been doing this. People ask all the time, like, when are we going to get the next tiger? I literally don't think it's going to happen, because Tita, his mom, a Buddhist from Thailand, meets his dad, Earl, a Green Beret in Vietnam while he's on leave in Thailand. Those two humans aren't meeting on Bumble. Like Bumble and Match.com are not connecting a Buddhist and a Green Beret. So it's this unique, yin and yang of two totally different personalities that came together, and again, I've seen it fail just as many times as work, where the parents are so overbearing and the kids just don't even talk to parents anymore. Like that's the 999 million to one. The 1 in a million is, wow, yeah, it worked with Tiger. That does not mean that's the blueprint for doing it, though.
Correct. Now, if I hear you, the benefits, and we could have a whole conversation on this, but to distill it down, the benefits of meditation in your experience: composure, control, resiliency. I loop those, or I categorize those words under what I call mindset, training your mindset. I'm curious then, Scott, is there a difference between the mental game of golf and working on your mindset? And if so, what's the difference between the two?
I'd say they're identical, honestly. Could you prod me? Could you point me in a direction of what you think would be different? If you think there's any difference, nothing pops in my head, because I do believe I subscribe to the theory of golf as a microcosm of life, and so whatever is good life advice is most likely good golf advice, and vice versa. And so I was just talking with a golf coach earlier, and we were talking about mindset with high school golfers, and I said, if a kid goes and putts terrible in a golf tournament, they'll go putt for 2 hours. But if they get mad or have too many Tiger 5 mistakes or poor course management, it's just like, oh, well, I'll try better tomorrow. As opposed to, no, focused effort needs to be put into this away from the course. And I would say, it's funny when I go through, like last week at the, smaller tour event, I'm going through, I've got like 60 players I've worked with in that field, and most of them are younger. And virtually all of them now have some sort of, whether they want to call it breath work or what meditation distinctly. Like a lot of people feel like woo-woo-y saying the word meditation. It took me a while to be able to talk about it this openly without feeling like I'm like weird.
I talk about hypnosis. I get it.
Yeah. It's certainly the same thing. But this is where it's interesting. Like, I definitely believe there's something there, whether it's just a deep meditation or whatever. I definitely believe. That's honestly what we thought Tiger back in the late 90s, early 2000s. We other professional golfers thought he was playing golf hypnotized, like just pocket watch hypnotized, because he didn't look like there was anything in there. Like he looked like a robot or a clone. It just, if you would look in his eyes, they just looked, it was like he was looking through you.
Like hollow. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I definitely personally get that feeling sometimes too. And I have to tell the person I'm talking to, like, I'm listening to you. Like, I feel like I realize I probably look like I'm zoned out, but I'm actually more intently looking at you than listening to you than you probably think. It's just like I'm kind of meditative right here in this moment.
Yeah, I think the two instances I've experienced it most, number one, on the poker table, where it's like you can see the next three streets play out. You know all the probabilities, the positions, what the opponent's range is. You know you've got the open ender, why it makes sense to check raise, yada yada. And you get lost and it's like you're in the matrix. But also too, and this is where I think we bring in just immense presence, is 450 pounds on your back in a powerlifting meet, you better be present, or else you're going to be present in the hospital. So that too, it's just like, I feel like I could feel every muscle working and firing as I needed it to execute the lift at that given time.
Well, you say poker. Like, I remember when I was in college, I wanted to imitate Fred Couples' swing because it was just so beautiful and graceful. When I was playing a lot of poker personally, and it's funny, I'd never really thought of this, like drawing the analogy, but to imitating a golf swing, I've tried to imitate how Phil Ivey looks. He's just got that kind of like that just kind of open mouth, just like like just staring right through you. And I played in the 2500 WOSOP event one year, and I got busted by Min the Master, Min Win, if you remember him from back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was so bad looking back at it. I called like a couple raises from the big blind. It was like a raise, call. I called, hit nothing, checked, and Min bet, and then I just donk lead the river, and he just instantly calls me. And I got up like, what an amazing call. I had nothing. And as I'm walking away, I'm like, that dude has seen that play 27,000 times. Like,
your story didn't make sense.
It made zero sense whatsoever. I'm going to check, call, check, call. Like, I'm just trying to keep the putt as small as possible out of that position. Like, if I actually hit it, it's just so bad. I walked away and I was like, what a call. And it took 9 seconds for me to be like, you're so bad at this game.
Fortunately, you found something else that you're very good at.
I also get to say I got busted by Min the Master. So, what's funny is the kid that lost in the finals of the U.S. Junior this last weekend, his name was Min Win also. And my buddies and I, we used to have, there was a ESPN WSOP thing where he got, and he's like, you can't play that hand. He says that to the guy he's playing. And that's all I could think about watching this other junior golfer playing the finals of the junior.
Bringing us back to mental game, that you asked me kind of how do I distill the two? And I do see them as different. I see the mental game more as learning what to do and how to do, what to think, how to think, what to respond with, how to respond in certain situations. Whereas the mindset piece for me, and this might, bleed into a little bit of the hypnosis work I do, is understanding or uncovering why don't you do what you need to do, know you do. How does that land with you?
I mean, I probably just can't get past like internally feeling like it's semantics.
And I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, you've got clearly a distinction in your head that this is more of what you teach than what I teach. Mm-hmm. So you've probably thought that through way more than me. I probably too generically lump mindset, meditation, strategy, just all into one giant bucket.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
But it's interesting. That's interesting for me. I'll think more about that though, for sure, over time.
Because like I bring it back to Decade, and the reason I brought this up for you is just like, Decade tells you how to think, what to think, how to respond in certain situations. Obviously, you've got this breadth of mindset work that's a component as well. I can see why you put them under the same umbrella. Yeah, for me too, it's like I can have all the Decade knowledge in the world, but if I'm not fucking executing my processes, am I afraid? Am I hesitant? Am I timid? What's going on? What's underneath that not having a lack of knowledge problem?
And that's typically just lack of patience and discipline and trust. Honestly, trust in your process. It's, again, back to that golf coach I was just talking to. The idea of running qualifying where your birdies and better don't count. I think that's a brilliant way to go out and attack a golf course, because you're gonna learn. Man, it's not like once you hit the green, you just pick your ball up. You still have to putt it. Like, you're still gonna see. I accidentally made, depending on your ability, 2, 3, 4 birdies, whatever it is, obviously for really good players. And I do believe that the better player can intentionally avoid bogey, whereas birdies, even a scratch can make 6 birdies any given round by having a chip in and making a few extra putts and whatever. But the better player is going to be the one that intentionally avoids bogey far more often and then just waits out. So back to what you're saying there, I think that the discipline and patience is when you're kind of abandoning your mindset. I like using the word quit in this situation, because quit has such a negative connotation and people want to be like, I'm not a quitter. Well, okay, what was your strategy? What was your plan on the first tee today? You were going to hit this shot. I'm going to attack the middle. I'd say in the middle of the greens, but I'm going to lag putt from outside 20 feet. I just want to tap my second putt in. If you abandon that because of your attachment to score at any point throughout the round, you have quit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you tucked your tail and walked in off the course, but if you aren't following if you intentionally aren't following your process, your intended plan of the day, you have quit.
Yeah.
And people hate thinking of themselves as quitters. So like I try to be offensive with that and just be like, well, poke a hole in what I just said.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I love that. That's powerful because it challenges their identity. As soon as they start to equate themselves with a quitter, they change their actions, or hopefully they do.
Great way of phrasing it. And honestly, that's David Epstein, the guy who wrote The Sports Gene. He and I spent a little time together a couple of years ago. And we were talking about the idea of, accepting that birdies are luck and variance to some great degree. And he said, well, the reason that is people want to take agency over their outcome. They want to be able to say, I did that on purpose. It's kind of like when Zalatoris hit a hole-in-one in the U.S. Open in 2020 that Bryson won. There's a flag from that one. Hey, I'm hitting touching all the bases. Will finished sixth with a hole-in-one, and Sean Martin, the PGA Tour staff writer, tweeted, Will Zalatoris just had a hole-in-one, and the only thing Scott Fawcett will want to do is say that it wasn't his target. And I was like, I guarantee you it wasn't. So I texted Will. I'm like, what was your target? And he said 7 yards right. And so I retweeted Sean with a screenshot of that text. And I'm like, it was a hole-in-one. It still counts, but it wasn't a perfect golf shot by any stretch of the imagination. It was a good shot. It just happened to hit the hole. I'm actually waiting to see if Justin Thomas gets mad at me for something I just posted. They were showing his chip that hit off the pin a couple years ago to make the FedEx Cup playoffs. I mean, and it was a bad shot. Like it hammered the pin. It was going 20 feet by. And so they posted it like he was this close to making the FedEx Cup playoffs. And I was like, in all fairness, it wasn't a good shot. It just happened to have a wreck with the pin. Like it almost went in, but it wasn't a good shot.
Yeah.
JT already doesn't like me, so I'm just kind of poking the bear with that one.
Just ruffling the feathers.
Pretty much. It's fun.
Let's pivot. I want to talk all things Q School. You're a wealth of knowledge experientially from a coaching capacity, and I want to start here. 3 words to describe your Q School experience. What do you got?
3 words. Is it a 3-word sentence or 3 distinct words?
Take it however you want.
Frustrating, fun, some great memories. There's 3 words in one.
Yeah, there you go. That's a nice answer. I like that.
I've got some great and some bad Q School memories.
Okay.
I mean, 2001, I'm in by a shot on the 17th hole, 16th hole, Tampa Bay. And there's a tree this big on the left side of this hole, and there's nothing else. And I hit a tee shot right where I'm supposed to, and it literally wound up stymied against the tree this big. And I had to hit. I've done this one time in my career, and I could only do it with a putter because the hosel, it was literally sitting on the tree. And I make double to miss by 1. And then also in 2008, I entered Q School as a 35-year-old amateur and made it through all 4 stages of Q School to get Korn Ferry status. It was actually really funny. At second stage, when I got through, the guy that was the tournament official there, I went up and I was like, hey, I made it through to final stage. I'm an amateur. And he just looked at me like, you're not in college. And so I was like, I don't know how this works. Do I have to declare if I'm professional before or after? Like, how does this work? And so he calls the PGA Tour home office. He's like, hey, we had an amateur make it through to final stage. He's wondering how this works. And he just a little pause. And he goes, no, he doesn't look like he's in college, because clearly the question on the other side is, hey, what school does he go to? He's like, no, this dude's got gray hair, man. This is not a college player. So, and then last year I missed getting Champions Tour status by 3 shots at Champions Tour at final stage. So I've good and bad memories.
Well, describe for me your emotional experience, like stepping into these stages, guys, I mean, to be frank, at some point, half your age, these young bucks going for pro status. Like, what's the emotional experience when you're standing side by side with them?
It's just fun. I mean, honestly, that's where I say it's just fun. Like I just enjoy competing. It's weird because I actually wouldn't say that I'm like this Michael Jordan or Tiger level of psychotic competitor. I actually would say I'm really not that competitive, but I really like playing tournament golf. And it's weird because like my stepdaughter is super competitive in board games, and like we can't play because I just get frustrated with her. I'm just like, I just don't care that much. If we're playing a game of Risk, like the only thing she wants to do is win. And I'm like, I'm just having fun playing the game. I really don't care who wins and loses. I'm just enjoying this. So I just enjoy the idea of competition. And, if you get me near the lead in the top 10 going in the final round of whatever, like, you're a little bit more tuned up and excited. And I really enjoy that. I mean, I hate saying it, but like there's the feeling alive part of getting out there and mixing it up.
Yeah. Well, this, Q School being such a, I'm going to use the description, make or break opportunity. They don't have Q School every week. It comes this one time of year, obviously in multiple stages. Like, walk us through, what was your mental preparation like in terms of getting yourself as dialed in as possible to be able to play to your potential when you needed it most?
Well, I would say that I was terrible at it in my 20s when I was playing professionally through, I think I quit playing when I was like 28. Mm-hmm. I would just grind so hard leading into it. Day before, I mean, I'm playing 18 holes, I'm chipping and putting. It's similar to when I played in the US Open in 1999. I spent all day, every day out at the course at Pinehurst just because it was so fun being in that arena. And now, talking with Zalatoris and other guys, they're doing great things in majors. Those guys get in there on Sunday and, if they're rich, they'll go play it a couple weeks in advance. Mm-hmm. So then they just show up and they just do 9 holes each day and practice an hour or two and get out of there to where you're fresh on day one. Whereas all of my Q schools in my 20s and any, Korn Ferry or obviously US Open, whatever that I played in, I was just grinding so hard to get my game in shape. And there does just have to be a point of, hey, I'm not playing good. Well, you better get your mental energy then. Like, you're not going to just odds of you just finding it on the range are slim to none. Yeah. Let's just go get ourselves ready to compete and make good decisions, especially in Q school. Like, you don't have to play great. I mean, obviously you have to play great. If you're good enough to play professional golf, you don't have to play great. And if there's any one thing that in working with guys like Will, as they go out and do Mondays and then top 25 into the next week on the Korn Ferry, if you're good enough to actually make it, you should be doing that. And if you're constantly not, it's like, hey, I mean, I was successful. I won on the Hooters Tour and other places. I was making money, not much, but I was a lot further away than I would have thought at the time. And so going into a Q school, and this may be, bad news for people that are listening, they're about to go to Q school and don't make it, but like, you got to keep trying. But getting through first stage shouldn't be difficult, if you are really good enough to actually ultimately fulfill the goal. Yeah. Second stage, you got to play better, obviously. And then final stage is just kind of it needs to go really well. But it's the idea of like starting off at local golf tournaments and then going to regional and then state and then almost national and national events. Like, you just keep on whittling out the riffraff every bit higher you go. But the main thing that I would say everybody probably does wrong is they just overgrind leading into that first round and they're just nowhere near ready mentally.
There's a great quote. Yeah, I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's by Tim Grover. And my listeners know I'm a huge Tim Grover fan, Michael Jordan, Kobe's performance coach. But he essentially says anytime he hears somebody saying, oh, yeah, man, I've been grinding 24/7, he kind of just looks at them and chuckles. He said, what happens when you grind for that long? He just looks for the dust around. There's literally nothing left. And in this case, physically, you're exhausted. Mentally, you're drained. Emotionally, there's nothing left. How do you expect to perform at your best when you need it most if you've just been grinding into each of these weekends? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
And a similar idea, Phil Jackson was asked one time, like, how do you get guys like Jordan and Scotty to put in the work? He's like, everything I do with any of my players is trying to get them to do less. If I have to try to get you to work, you're just not going to be good enough to play in the NBA. I mean, like, that should just be a given. That's why you got here in the first place. Nobody's just talented enough to I get so mad when somebody says this guy outworks anyone else and whatever, like BS. Everyone out there works so hard. It's ridiculous. They might just happen to be a little bit more talented or whatever, but it's so dismissive to the guy that isn't being successful to be like, well, you just need to work harder. Like, dude, I mean, that's like telling me, like, I just need to work harder to be a world-class sprinter. No, this 220-pound frame is not built for sprinting. It's not built for anything other than hitting a golf ball, apparently, because I hate running. It's just, there's just some guys that can do it, and it really should be more of a factor of doing less.
Yeah,
It's like
that ambition's a
less,
prerequisite.
do less, not more. What's that? The surf coach in whatever movie that is.
Oh, I know. Yeah, what is that in?
Is it something about Mary or?
Oh, that's gonna bug me. I'm gonna have to find that after. But
Yeah.
so talk to me back then, or take us back then. Like, how did your mental prep evolve over, one experience from the next? What did you do differently, more of, less of?
I just trusted I'm ready, and if I'm not, it doesn't matter. So like at final stage Q school last year, I did just play 9 holes the day before, chipped and putted some and got out of there. Just went and watched a movie. Honestly, went and watched Wicked by myself. A 51-year-old adult man went and saw Wicked. And it was a hell of a
whatever
movie.
works.
It was a great movie. Yeah, I mean, it's just doing less. I mean, again, I played in the U.S. Senior Open last year, did the same thing, had my wife there with me, and we walked around downtown Newport and just checked stuff out and, played practice rounds, but then set golf down and went about. And it was convenient. A&M, the Aggies were playing in the College World Series, so we got to watch those games at night, and like I had something else to do.
But there's so much power in that, like intentionally disconnecting. If you're preparing for Q school, you're already absorbed in the world of golf. It's already something you eat, sleep, and think about 24/7. The intentional disconnect allows you to recharge emotionally and mentally so you can then give it your all for those 4 days. Like, imperative that you hear what Scott just said.
Well, your work should be done before you get there. I mean, and that's one thing, like you hear Tiger talking about a lot. Like, we're grinding hard the couple of weeks leading into it, but then let's call it Friday or Saturday before the event. Now we really start paring it back and getting that mental energy ready to roll, because it's so interesting, because like people think of, I've got to birdie the last hole to get into a playoff or whatever. Like, well, how about if you didn't hit a few lackadaisical shots on Thursday because you were tired, you wouldn't even be in that position in the first place. I mean, that's the one thing that I do think is impressive with Tiger is I do believe he treated the second shot on 3 the exact same as the second shot on the 72nd hole, like on 3 on Thursday. And that's a really, really difficult thing to do. I do believe a lot of that comes down to slowing down in practice. Really getting it's not just a magical switch that flips on when you get into a round of golf. So yes, we want to definitely be very thoughtful when we're playing just our daily practice rounds or whatever with our buddies, but also slowing down in practice. That's one thing Como told me about, working with Tiger when he's just practicing at his house. He's like, dude, it's just nauseating how slow this guy, like, he is so slow. Like when you see him warming up at a tournament, that's just exercise. That's not practice. That is just exercise. But when he's actually grinding somewhere, it's as slow as you can get. And it kind of circles back to that block versus random practice argument that I always get into, where people hold up random practice as being this better way to go about it. And I'm like, well, the one difference between block and random practice is the random practicer changing clubs and targets often is going to go slower. Now, that's not mutually exclusive to, is that the right way? Mm-hmm. It's not exclusive to randomizing. You can do that. I mean, I did it today. I went out and hit balls for an hour, and I really got behind them. Probably 1 out of every 5 shots just started over, coming in from behind. I've always got a way where, let's say that I hit a shot, instead of just raking another ball over and staying here, I pull the ball over and I at least just take like this step. So I'm training coming into like seeing how we're looking, getting your waggle, because it's this weight shift that like triggers your swing. When you just pull the ball over and you're not even, like, this is really bad in simulators. You're not even looking to the left so often. You're just pulling a ball over and you're just thinking. And then people say like, I can't get my range game to the course. And it's like, yeah, because you're not, again, I hate saying you're not practicing like you play. And I do believe, going back to Tiger, and again, I have no remote evidence on this, but in my opinion, his pre-shot routine fell apart from when he was at his peak in the 2000 to 2005 or 6. I mean, it was just so dead on. Yeah. And then once he came back from the car wreck scandal and all that stuff, sometimes he'd look to the target once, sometimes 2 times, sometimes the driver 3 times. Like, it was all over the map. And I do believe that came down to him probably hitting too many balls in his simulator, because it's just awkward. It's awkward to look left and into a screen. It's not the same thing. And so that was one thing I was really conscious of in my old house when I had a simulator and hit some balls in it, not too many, but I was really conscious of more pre-shot routines, and it just feels so stupid for some reason. It just feels so dumb in a simulator. But I was really conscious of trying to do that.
I love that. I'm just thinking of my simulator. Like I go to the Golf Tech simulator, and like there's that little ledge you have to step on to where the turf is. So I like justify a stupid excuse. Like I can't do my full pre-shot routine because I might trip stepping up onto the turf mat. But I love that. You're totally right. It's so easy to get consumed and not look left. Huh.
Yeah, it's just wild. I mean, again, you just watch it. But and I haven't done it in a long time. But when I first started doing this, I was like, well, if I'm going to teach junior golfers, I need to go out and observe someone other than Will Zalatoris, who's one of the best junior golfers on the planet. So I just went out to like a Texas Legends Junior Tour event here. And I literally was watching kids go into shots and never even look that way. Yeah. So they would just be walking in and you could see them thinking about their swing and whatever. And then they would just hit that way and it would go into the trees right. But I was like, if I had to tell you where I think this shot's going, I think it's going in the trees right. Like it was a great shot. You just pointed wrong. And that, again, circles back to block practice, really training your eyes to just see this straight line to your target. I mean, you got an alignment rod down. You're really going through that process of getting square, whatever that means to you. You may stand a little bit open. You may stand a little bit close. You may stand parallel to your target line. But whatever that means to you, you need to own that, like just as part of your DNA or fingerprint. That needs to just be on absolute autopilot.
I like that. Pressure. I'm using it as an umbrella theme right here. The pressure of Q School. Like I'm coming at this from the angle. I've got a lot of younger guys preparing for Q School. There's pressure on just the performance aspect. There's also the pressure from the financial aspect. You know, these guys don't have, their job is golf, and golf at that point is not paying the bills. So, you know, a lot of the work I do with my clients is how do you let go of that pressure and play for you? Not feeling like you have to do well to pay so-and-so back or because so-and-so lent you this money. When you hear me share that, you understand pressure from a playing perspective and also can begin to relate to the financial aspect. What would you say to the listener who's preparing for Q School to navigate the inevitable pressure they might create for themselves?
That's a tricky question because I literally was basically, $5,000 or less in my checking account I never had sponsors or anything. So I never took money in and I never went broke, but I never really had much money. The one time I actually went broke, it was my very last Hooters Tour entry fee.
Okay.
That one, and I won. I was literally out of money, and I win $15,000 in that golf tournament, which in 1998 was, equivalent of probably 30 or more right now. Like it was a huge sum of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to say the pressure of I feel like I've got to pay this guy back, or I really am in the hole. Like, do not get yourself in credit card debt to try to play professional golf. If you're having to do that, I hate saying it, but this probably isn't for you. It's just too much pressure, in my opinion. That being said, that's a personal decision. Do whatever you want to do. The one thing, like me personally, from a financial aspect, I quit playing professional golf in 2001, started an electricity company in 2002 when Texas deregulated, and I did 100-hour weeks for 5 years. I worked my butt off, and I made a bunch of money. And I had a little sister pass away from complications in a surgery in 2006, which is honestly the reason I went and played in the main event. So it's so funny looking back. So 2002 through 2005, I just did nothing but grind golf. 2006, electricity, kind of started taking a little bit of time off. She died in July. And that's when I was like, I went out and played in the $2,500 WSOP and I enjoyed it. So I went back and played in the main event also. Oh. And then I basically just drank and played poker and played golf for a year. Like I had this residual income coming from my electricity company and I just did nothing. And I got fat and hungover and miserable and depressed. And it changed my mindset on money completely. I thought the goal or the point of being successful was to retire and do nothing and just play golf starting at 45 or 50. And after taking that 1 year off, I realized, oh, that's a death sentence. I mean, that's the one, if there's any one lucky thing that happened to me that shifted my view around money a lot, it was taking that year off and realizing that's not the answer. And so telling the kid who's struggling, oh my God, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Dude, you've got till you're 70. I mean, the therapist that I work with on a weekly basis, she charges me $150 an hour, and she's 76, and she just loves doing it. And I'm like, that's a great way. Like, that's when I think of retirement now, I think of, I got something I'm going to do 3 or 4 hours a day. I'm going to exercise 1 or 2 hours. Hopefully I hit some balls 1 or 2 hours or play. Like, and I'm going to do that until they put me in the ground or I'm mentally incapable of doing it for whatever reason, a stroke, Alzheimer's, whatever it is. Like, even when I'm 80, like I will never just do nothing. Jordan Peterson has a great way that he phrases it. He's like, so, paint me a little picture of retirement. He's like, oh, just want to sit on the beach and drink margaritas. He's like, okay, for how long? That's great for a couple of days, but you're going to do that for 6 months? Good luck. You're going to be fat. You're going to be in pain because all your joints are going to hurt from the sugar. Like, so circling back to the kids going to Q school, don't worry about money.
Yeah.
As long as you're staying afloat, and it's stressful to be under $5,000 in your bank account. I get it. You feel like you're, any given moment you could just be broke. Don't worry about it. Because there is, and this is going to sound stupid, but there is a dollar figure that money loses its utility after that. Mm-hmm. Whether that's 5 million or 10 million or 20 million for you. If it's more than 20, you're an idiot. If it's less than 5, you're probably being unrealistic about retiring also. So there's some number in there where just more money doesn't actually serve you any purpose whatsoever. And so you've got, from the point you quit playing professional golf, let's call it at 28 or 29, you've got a long time to accumulate a lot of money. Yes. But if you do it correctly, it's just not that hard to do.
I like that a lot. I often say money comes and goes. You're learning the skills, you're building the relationships. And actually, I take this from the book Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. I'm going to butcher the quote, but
great book.
Yeah, phenomenal. He essentially says, like, your main goal in life is to collect as many memories or experiences as possible because that's all you have left in the end. And I thought that really put a big stop sign on my approach to life, how I looked at finances. Actually, the reason I hired my first mindset coach was when I was playing poker professionally. I had a massive scarcity mindset around money. Fear of loss was costing me tens of thousands of dollars because I was raised in this scarcity anxiety around money household. And you have the dot-com burst, you have the 08-07 recession, and everything I knew was there was never enough money. But it's interesting now, I can see it from a different perspective. And with these clients I'm alluding to and kind of what you're talking about is money comes and goes. It should not be this death sentence. You have to have 3 credit cards out and get that, beg your aunt with all that money. But if you can put in the work and maybe you're teaching on the side a little bit, maybe you're being intentional with how you use your time, it's worth it. Go big, go for your goal and learn along the way.
If there's one thing looking back that it's bizarre to me that this never crossed my mind to do. I didn't want to wait tables or something like that. But it's crazy to me that I never went to Preston Trails, the really high-end men's club here in Dallas, and caddied. It's bonkers to me that it never crossed my mind. Like, hey, go do that 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Go take 2 bags, 3 bags, because also 2 loops, 2 or 3 loops a week is what I'm saying. Like the equivalent of $1,500 a month. Like the amount that would have changed my life back then of just not being stressed about everything. Again, by definition, if I had 5,000 usually in the bank, it'd actually be funny if I go back and find my checking account. Like I definitely never had much money and I definitely never went broke. But if I had just made an extra $1,500 a month, it's an extra, $18,000 a year that you accumulate that over a few years. But the key is when you're doing it caddying, you are working on your game. By far, the best thing I've ever done for my game was caddy for Zalatoris. And it's not even close either. There's not even a second place to caddying for Zalatoris. Now, yes, it's convenient that he's really good at golf, but honestly, I don't think that would matter because like the stuff that I was saying to him, he'd hit it in the trees during the Texas Am, the first place I looped for him at Brook Hollow. Hitting all the flags. The first place that he would hit it in the trees and I'd be like, hey, that's totally fine, man. We're going to go down there. We're going to find it. If we've got a shot, we're going to get up and around the green. If not, we're going to pitch this thing down there to 70 or 80 yards. We'll get a look at par. And if we don't, we're making bogey, nothing worse. And we're moving on. You can say that to yourself, but you're snowing yourself. You don't really mean it. But when I was saying it to him, I really meant it. I was like, it's not that big of a deal, dude. Whereas I would, again, be discarding my brain for the next 3 holes in frustration and just it's removing that emotional attachment to outcome and score. Like, sure, I wanted him to play good and win, but it wasn't going to change my life either way. And actually, what's funny is it actually did wind up changing my life. But the stuff you would never say to your buddy you're caddying for, the stuff you say to yourself, and you sure as hell aren't going to say to the rich guy at Preston Trails, dude, you're the worst bunker player I've ever seen. Like, you suck so much, it's unbelievable. Nice lag putt. I mean, the stuff we say to ourselves internally, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's so obviously stupid, it's incredible, and yet we do it all day long.
And I believe teaching is literally the best way to learn, because if you can't articulate it to somebody else, you clearly don't know it. And then for you to have multiple repetitions of emotionally disconnecting to be able to mentor, coach, and lead while caddying, I mean, yeah, that strengthens your ability to do that with yourself when you need it most.
That's how I used to lead off my seminars, was telling people, I want you to take good enough notes that you could teach this by the end of the session.
Yeah.
I mean.
Agreed. What does winning mean to you?
I've literally posted on Instagram today. Let me think what there was a song. It was a
caveat is I didn't even look at your Instagram today.
There was a quote. So it's Avicii. It's the song, What Would I Change It To? It's Avicii's Back to Mushrooms. It's amazing when you actually listen to the lyrics of someone like Avicii, where it's like, how do you have that kind of awareness and maturity? Like, people talk about like the song just came to me. I've always been like, oh, whatever, like you're chosen. Like, there are some people, which is why a lot of them are kind of crazy and wind up killing themselves, because it's got to be torture. It's that tortured artist genius thing. But this one lyric, the girl singing, cutting corners gets you where you're going, but how you get there is the real test.
That's deep.
To me, winning is that process of trying to improve. It's, I'm kind of, I love Scotty, love Ted. I'm kind of sick of it right now. I'm kind of sick of I'm such a good dude and just everything else associated with it. But he really is that good of a dude. And the stuff that he was saying at the British Open, why do I want to win this tournament? I can't figure out what it is. The profundity, is that the right iteration of profound? The profundity of that statement from a 29-year-old blows my mind. I mean, it's literally like, I don't think Scotty does mushrooms, but it's probably his leaning on religion and everything. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's his outlet.
Yeah.
But when you hear some of the things these young guys say, so to me, winning is the process. I mean, the idea of success as a journey, not a destination, is the most spot on statement ever. That's where a guy like David Duval and other greats who kind of fell off, a lot of that stems from, I'm number one in the world, I won the British, and I'm still not happy. Mm-hmm. I got more money than I can possibly spend. It's a big moment. And again, I'm circling back to myself. When I got myself into depression, 2006-07 timeframe, a lot of it was like, oh my God, I just made a ton of money, which is what I've thought all along I needed to do. And I'm more miserable now than I ever was. And that's when, I mean, honestly, it's when I met Como playing in an underground poker game here in Dallas in 2007, and went out and hit balls with him. Like, we were friends for like a year before I finally said, what do you do for a living? You don't sit around in illegal card rooms and ask everyone, what do you do for a living? It's like going to a topless bar. Hey, what do you do for a living, Bob? We're playing cards. But I finally was good enough friends. I'm like, what do you do for a living? He's like, I teach golf. I'm like, I play professional golf. It had never come up. And so I went out and started working with him. And that's where I started digging myself out of this rut. Was I didn't play any golf for like 4 or 5 years. I was just working 100-hour weeks. And that's when I went out and I started working with Como. I started seeing the game as a poker game. That's literally where Decade was kind of born, was applying poker, math, and mindset to golf. And then working with Como. I mean, Como and I, before Poker Stove and all the solvers came out, we used to sit at my poker table and just deal out hundreds of hands and just run the numbers. I mean, he made these ridiculous push fold charts for single table satellites. I mean, I went to Tunica a couple times, and if you just knew the proper push fold math and single table satellites, you could just crush those things.
Prince, yeah.
I mean, you could just crush them. It was comical how just straightforward some plays would be, and you'd shove, get called, wouldn't work out. You'd go buy into the next one. it's going to work out one of these. And everyone just folds away so much equity. It's insane. It's, I know I'm meandering now really far, but it's like when I saw a post from Phil Hellmuth the other day where he's like, I'm so good now, I can fold aces pre-flop. And everyone would be like, that's so stupid. It's like, why do I want to get myself in a 3-way pot for all my chips in the second level of a tournament? I mean, okay, so I've got a 45% of this pot. Like, that's not, I don't need to take that risk right here.
Yeah.
Which still sounds insane. Like a guy like me, I need to take that risk and triple up. It feels like you're going to give me your chips eventually. So yeah, I'm just going to fold these aces right here, which
discipline, patience, and polarizing as hell. But yeah, he's got the track record to back it up.
I mean, that's what's funny is people give him a hard time. I'm like, you don't win as much as he's won without being really good at something.
What's he got? 17 bracelets, I think.
I mean, that's bonkers.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. So let's wrap up with this.
That's what's fun is Alex Huang, who is my new COO, he owned Card Runners.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like, huh?
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, he came to one of my seminars in 2017, I think, in Ohio, and he came up and introduced himself. And I was like, oh, I was a member at your site. And he was like, oh, I know. And it's so wild that now, like the app is based on Card Runners. I never would have thought to voice over PowerPoints if it weren't for having been a member of Card Runners.
That's funny.
It's really funny when you just do things in life and you can connect the dots looking backwards and just, wow, if it weren't for this and that, huh?
Does it all happen for a reason?
Apparently. Crazy. It's the saying of if it all works out in the end, if it hasn't worked out yet, it's not the end. Like,
exactly.
Fair enough.
For the listener preparing for Q school, or the parent who's listening who has a son going to Q school, what do they need to hear? What's the top piece of advice, the reminder you feel they need to walk away with?
It's such my canned answer to almost any question is we need to shape the driver one direction. We probably need to have the next club below that go the other direction. We now own both shapes off the tee. I don't care if we get up to a 480-yard par 4 and it doglegs left and you like to fade your driver, then you still need to drop back to the next club down. You do not need to try to turn that club over to cut the corner. We need to focus on the Tiger 5 mistakes, one of which is no blown easy saves. So we need to own those simple chip shots. I practice my chip shots by putting tees out there at 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15 yards. And all I'm doing is practicing my carry numbers. I haven't hit a practice chip shot in 3 months. And I went out there today for the first time. And I'm just laughing at how good I still am at those numbers because I know these little positions. So mastering those simple chip shots and then getting really good at lagging the ball from 20 to 40 feet and then understanding, for lack of a better way of saying it, decade strategy.
Yeah. And
then just sucking it up and being as disciplined as you can. I mean, it's hard. I mean, the flag is the most distracting thing in golf, period. It is so hard to take. And this is what's funny is, so let's pretend we've got a 6-iron from 190 into a par 4 with a lake on the left, pins over there 5 or 6 yards from the left edge. Well, we're going to aim that shot 10, 12 yards right of the flag. But the most important thing is again, actually attacking that spot. Yeah. I hate the words aggressive and conservative because they're so emotional. But Chris Zambry, the old USC coach, my director of college sales before Alex, and now he's the head of the USGA national team. We were talking yesterday, and he said that one way he's been explaining this to his high school members of the team is if I put a flag out there in the range at 150 and said it's $5,000 for a hole in one, you would be so intensely focused on trying to hole that shot to that flag. That's how you need to treat the decade target. And you need to do this in practice. So you see, I do pull and push these shots 5, 10 yards, whatever the number is. But if I'm really attacking this center spot and then trusting the variance, most players are going to get into that spot with a 6-iron. And if they know how to think at all, they understand they need to aim away from it. But then we all kind of hope we pull it.
Yeah.
Kind of hope we tug it over there. And it's like, by definition, we're aiming 10 yards away from the shot because it's a hard shot. Yeah. Like, that's why we're doing it. And so now we've got a hard shot that we're not committing to our target on. Like, it's so crazy, but 100% of the tour players that I've worked with, when we get to that point in the conversation, they just laugh and they go, dude, I do that 8 times around. I mean, I'm not kidding. 100% of them.
Jeez.
Like, So again, I worked with 50 some odd players, a third of last week's tour event at some point in history has told me they try to pull and push shots as opposed to actually hitting their target and trusting the variance in their shot pattern. So drive it well, lag it well, don't suck at easy chip shots, and play committed, disciplined, patient golf to your smart targets.
You know what I hear underneath all of that? And I used to say this when I was a dietitian to all of my athletes on game day, meet day.
What haven't you done? Jesus.
I know. I would say no nutrition, N-E-W, nutrition on game day. And what I hear from you is don't do anything different than everything you've prepared and practiced. Carry that same discipline. You know, success is built upon doing the same boring fucking things over and over again. Don't change a thing on game day, on match weekend.
It's so funny because like my kids frustrate me to no end when I'm like, let's go get this good Mexican restaurant. Here's Mi Casina. Dude, we had that last week. I'm like, I'd eat it 7 days in a row. I've got this chicken salad that I'm eating right now from the local grocery store that's so good. I bet I'm having it at least one meal a day, if not two, because it's like not every meal has to be a Picasso. Like
just fuel.
It's just fuel. And you look at Tiger, he had the same peanut butter and banana sandwich every single day for 15 straight years. Zalatoris does they get to the new city, they go to the Target, they buy those like plastic, nice, firm, like little to-go boxes you get at a decent restaurant to where like it's not going to get all beat up. Bananas and peanut butter, and a loaf of bread, and they makes those things every single morning. Whenever I go to a tournament, like I go and get the same little things, and I get those low carb tortillas and the turkey and cheese.
Yep.
And I make just these turkey and cheese roll-ups. I can fit 3 of them in this same canister. I've got the little ice packs, and I just put them in the long pouch of the bag. It's just the same thing every day. Like, you just have to be a creature of habit, which is probably why the majority of people that actually make it to the PGA Tour are a little crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just wired a little bit differently to where like, yeah, eating the same thing every single day doesn't bother me. It's good. I know it's nutritious, and it's what I do.
It also saves energy and eliminates overthinking, which gives you the energy to free you up on the course or where you need it most.
Well, it's the idea of like decision fatigue where Steve Jobs wore the same black shirt every single day.
I wear this every day.
I mean,
I got 2 colors.
Well, Alex, the guy that Alex, we were just, because I had scheduled this at the wrong time, this meeting with him. He saw me in this. He's like, "Oh my God, you're not in a gray or a black t-shirt." And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's just such a creature of habit of just, it's the same thing every single day.
Well, let me
it's boring,
get you
it's monotonous, but success leaves clues, man. And whatever clue you're leaving yourself. I mean, that's why another thing that I would say for the players getting ready for Q school is journaling habits. Like when you are doing something that works, write it down. I tell players after a great round, after a great tournament, after a bad tournament, great tournament specifically, what were your routines this week? What did you eat? Like everything you can think of that was, I do that all the time. Write it down so you've got a reference point, because there's definitely been a couple of guys like, oh, I do this, the foundations putting speed drill every single day and I'm putting great. And I won't hear from them for 6 or 9 months. I'm just not putting very good. What do you think? I'm like, well, you've been doing the speed drill? You know what? I went from doing it every day to I missed a couple days to I missed a couple days to and then I haven't done it in like a month. Well, there you go. I'd probably go back to doing what was working. The amount of players when I first start talking about meditation with them, and they're like, I did that for 3 or 4 months and I played pretty good. And then I just kind of stopped doing it. This is another Instagram post I made recently. And I do think that meditation is the single most important thing that I talk about, not just for golf, but for life and blah, 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 blah. But the best analogy for meditation is it's really hard to do and it feels really pointless for a really long time. It would be similar to if you needed to lose 100 pounds and I said, okay, you're going to need to eat lean, healthy meats, healthy fats, cut out the carbs, cut out the bullshit, cut out the sugars, processed foods. It's very straightforward what to do. And even, hey, give yourself 10 or 15% cheat meals. That's totally fine. And you need to exercise. But you're not going to lose a pound for somewhere between 12 and 24 months. But one day you're going to wake up and the whole 100 pounds is gone. That would be really, really difficult to stick to. Meditation, the same way, man. It's going to feel really pointless for a really, really, really long time. But at some point, something's going to click with you, and you're going to be in a situation where you're going to think, man, I should be more mad than this, or I'm not quite as anxious as I normally would be. And you're going to realize that you're actually doing the process in real time, but it's just going to be a very difficult thing to consciously do. It just has to magically happen over at least a year, man. I mean,
it's funny you say a year. So first, the big magic is shifting to response from reaction. That's all it is. It's a place of empowerment. But I did Headspace. Gosh, this was 10, 12 years ago. I did one meditation for a year. That was my commitment. And I was 365 of 365. And I finally felt like, okay, I think I'll keep going. So I totally echo that. I love the analogy of the weight loss. That's brutal, but worth it.
It's exactly correct. I mean, it's going to feel totally pointless. I mean, especially that first 28 days, you're just going to be like, what am I doing here? Yeah. I mean, it feels really silly, but you've just got to stick with it.
Oh, and the app Scott and I keep referring to, it's Waking Up by Sam Harris. We talked about it last conversation. I talk about it often. Go get it. The 28-day free course is literally life-changing. And I'll put the link in the show notes.
100%. Yeah. I've actually never said this before. I think if you use the code DECADE, you'll get 20% off. I've literally never thrown that out there at all. They made that code for me a couple of years ago. But also, if money's tight to our Q School people, if you just Google Sam Harris Waking Up Scholarship, the first page that it'll see is like, hey, no problem, is 50% off okay. You just click the button, no, I need it for free. They will just send it. It's the craziest business model on the planet. And Sam talks about it on his podcast all the time. Like, I would give anything to trust everyone who can afford Decade will pay for it. But I feel like my sales would go to zero. Whereas this guy's just like me. I've actually had 3 simultaneous accounts at one time. But I'm like, if I feel like I'm helping somebody else out and helping Sam, like Sam's probably an absolute gajillionaire at this point. So it's not like I'm really needing to help him anymore. But I just believe in it so much that, here's how you get it for free. And then after a year, they will just send you an email. It's like, hey, how's it going? You still need it for free? Okay, cool. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible that he does that.
Yeah. All right. I would kick myself if I didn't ask you. All of the longtime listeners would kick me if I didn't ask you. What's the pool update?
What's that?
What's the pool update?
Pool uptakes. I can't.
Remember the last time you were on the show, you were talking about your pool guy.
Oh, pool update. I think you said pool uptake. Pool update. It's done.
Okay.
I literally had to finally tell them to stop coming. Like, you are just screwing this thing up more and more and more. It's like painting the walls, and eventually you're just going to paint the room away because it just keeps on getting thicker. I finally had to say, like, you're going to need to stop painting the walls at this point, man. It's goldmedalpools.com, worst pool experience in the history of anyone. I cannot unsuggest buying a gold medal pool more than I possibly can now. But again, if you go look at my Instagram, I actually shot 2 videos out in the back. It's beautiful.
Good.
It is absolutely beautiful. It just took 6 months and 150,000 more than it was supposed to get it done. Yeah.
I'm glad there's a resolution.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm literally like, last night it's 100 degrees and I forced myself to go out and sit out there and watch Better Call Saul because I'm like, I've got so much money sunk in this backyard. I better go out here and enjoy it at least. I'm just sweating.
But it's worth it. I love it.
It's so Scott, funny.
Where can people go to connect with you on Instagram, wherever else you're hanging out?
Instagram's just decade_golf, and decade.golf is where you'll find all the information on Decade. I do hate feeling salesy, but we've built so many features into it. If you're a tournament player at all and you use yardage books at all, the app will pay for itself easily because we have free yardage books that you can just print out on your own. Again, I do feel silly saying it since it's my product, but it's awesome. It really is. It's turned out to be a great invention. Yeah. I do hate saying that I feel like it's changed golf, but I do believe the way teaching course management has evolved.
Yeah.
And like with tour players, I don't work with as many guys as I used to, mainly because there's like 2 or 3 young go-getter dudes out there that are statisticians from Columbia and wherever. Like, they're doing great work. You guys can have them. I don't want to run stats for guys. I'm here just for kind of mindset and strategy questions, and you guys go do the rest of it. There's a bunch of great products out there now. I mean, and it's all just kind of based on the same Mark Brody strokes gain data. So it's been a fun journey for sure.
Yeah, and I would say if you're serious about taking your golf game to the next level, if you're serious about competing, Decade's a no-brainer. It's a mandatory prerequisite tool to take your game to the next level. Scott,
I really agree with you. And again, I really hate saying that since it's mine, but it is 52 years. It's 52 years of blood, sweat, and tears and failure. I mean, again, it's why we call it Decade. You're going to take decades off your learning curve. Like that's the point. And just the amount of feedback we get, it's just, sure, it could be a little bit more pretty and polished. It's not. We're not a Silicon Valley, Stanford trained programmers here. It could be prettier, but if you just look at the information, there's just nothing else like it in golf.
Yeah, Scott, always a pleasure, dude. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's always fun.
Absolutely. For you listening, thank you so much for tuning into another episode. I know you found incredible amounts of value, a couple laughs in today's episode. So do us a favor, not only go listen to it again, take those notes, take action on those notes, but go share it with a fellow golfer who you know will find immense value in today's conversation. I know it's going to help you take your game to the next level. And do me a favor, 30 seconds to leave a genuine rating review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to the show. Goes a long way in not only supporting the show, but empowering me to be able to keep bringing on phenomenal guests just like Scott every single week. Thank you again for tuning in. Have a phenomenal rest of your day. Hit them straight this weekend, and we'll catch you in the next.